More of a mental day. We weren't in full gear. Obviously, we're getting guys back, more guys that don't have red shirts on, and so that's encouraging and, making our preparations.
Going short today, is that just, like you said, camp's a grind, you wanted to, get their legs a little bit before you kind of wrap things up with your scrimmage? Was that kind of some of the reason?
Well, we were going to balance some things off, Robert, between doing the heavy lifting this afternoon and then doing some mental work. Those are important elements of fall camp, and so we'll do a heavy lifting this afternoon, and there were some mental things that we needed to clean up that really don't require to be in full gear, and so it was the right timing. We had planned that about, I set all these schedules first part of July, so you kind of through the years kind of know, okay, this is about the point where, we're going to need to start getting some guys back.
I know Elijah Halburn's had a couple interceptions. Have you liked what you've seen from him so far this game?
He's been good. He's been an athletic guy. We knew, out of high school. We've got a lot of guys from his foot team out of high school. And, he was an active guy in high school, was athletic. He's still learning and finding the ways to play back there in the secondary, but we're pleased with what he's doing. And I think there's probably a pretty good likelihood that he will not redshirt. We'll take a hard look. We haven't made any final determinations on him, but he's certainly showing some promise.
I know you said yesterday you're going to work some on the kicking game, and I know you did a little bit. How's that coming? Do you like what you're seeing from Cooper? Do you have some, return guys? Kind of how are you feeling about some of this?
Well, we're starting to solidify. Certainly, Cooper's done a nice job on kickoffs. That's an important play. We've tried to put him under some pressure for game-like field goals, and that's always a difficult thing to replicate, what it's like to actually be out there when you have to kick a game-winning field goal. But thus far, he's really answered the bell and done some good things. He's a competitive guy. I think our punting games come along and our coverage teams, that's an area where we certainly have to improve. And as you mature as a program and there's more depth, particularly depth on linebackers, secondary guys, maybe some running backs, those are the guys that a lot of times are your excellent special team guys. And so, some guys like Nico Evans is not a starter as a running back, but if you look between the NFL and great college football teams, those are the guys that end up being really good special teams players.
Looked like Tanner and Jake and Robert Priester were all out of red today. How nice is it to have them back in full
That's
go?
great. It's amazing as you always get closer to the game, guys start getting healed up. Part of it is, I'm sure, with their physical bodies, but I got to believe too, mentally, they know the game's right around the corner, will be opening up, and certainly they want to get out there.
I know your last 2-a-days tomorrow.
Yeah.
A lot of what we've seen you've done in the other 2 days go kind of maybe a little lighter the first one and more heavy.
No,
how are you approaching it, I guess?
I cut you off, but I'll answer that. We're going to probably flip that. Today was a lighter day, so tomorrow morning will be a heavier practice. In the afternoon will be some other things that we need to brush up on. There's certain situations that sometimes they come up during the course of the year. Sometimes they don't, but you need to cover them. Say like, okay, what do you do after a safety on a kicking play? How do you handle it if you get a safety and they punt? That's a different play than what it normally is. So we'll cover all those situations. They're important to cover. We'll touch on those during the course of the year, but we'll really set those things in stone tomorrow afternoon.
Coach, how's Austin Fort's re-entry into the program gone?
That's been good. Austin is playing certainly a different position than what he played when he first got here. I think he's still on a learning curve, as far as what to do at tight end. He's running well, but our offense with the tight end, it's a pro-style stop. And so he's got a ways to come, but we're encouraged by some of the things that we've seen.
And in regard to the running back situation, with the young talent that you have behind Brian and Sean now back this year, would you be surprised if at the end of the season, Brian has as many carries this season as he had last year?
Be a little bit disappointed. We want as many yards, but we're trying not to give him as many carries. I think some of that's going to come into play, how Sean comes along, and then those other running backs. Brian was a workhorse last year, and our team got to the point where we got to be pretty one-dimensional last year. And for us to be effective, we need to spread the ball around more. By no means does Brian say, hey, I'm beat up, I can't carry the ball that much, but I think in an ideal world we need to shift some of those carries. Do you know what that ratio is? I can't tell you, but we certainly like 1,600 yards, but maybe a third less carries.